So, welcome to the Scandiweb podcast. My name is Anastasia. I'm the event manager and social media manager in this company. And this is the Meet an Expert event, which we are doing almost every week, where we are inviting some interesting people or just the specialists in different kind of fields. How we will do it, most probably we will just talk and I will ask you questions, what our colleagues already wrote and what I have prepared, some topics, and we will just talk like that. Okay?
Yeah, sure, nice.
Okay.
So I will introduce myself. I hope, by the way, that I am one of those interesting people, not just the specialist of some kind.
Definitely.
So my name is Stanislav. I am a former police dog handler, police officer with experience in about 10 years. My specialty in police was how it's called, service dog who bites the people supposed to bite. So I was working with aggression. My dog was supposed to catch people and hold them until I will come. So, and also my second specialty was narcotics. So he was using his nose also. As a private, in my time out of police service, I was also training the dogs, mostly dealing with socialization and basic stuff. So now I'm planning to do some sports, dog sports also.
What
so
kind
that's
of sports?
There is plenty of them actually, different disciplines. Like some of them you haven't even heard about, like IPO. That's basically all the same I was doing as a police serviceman. The same disciplines, and some kind of like agility. It where the really agile dogs are finding out who is the best one. So it is quite interesting also. And I also do all the basic trainings for the dogs. Socialization, all the needed stuff to do with the dog for it to be comfortable around people, for it to be a happy dog. Let's put it that way. So yeah, we can move on from the introduction part.
Okay, great. I like this happy dog. This is very nice. I think that happy owner is also very important.
If the owner is happy, then it is a much bigger chance that the dog will also be happy. Because if the man is a pity one, it's quite hard for the dog. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Okay, let's start with I think this major one question which we also had as a topic for this lecture was how do dog thinks?
Well, it's very, very, very major question. Well, I will say that we can't take a dog as a human. That's the rule number one. Because sometimes people, when they want to be very friendly, very good to their dog, they start to humanize dogs. But dog is an animal. It can be quite a violent animal also. And if you have a big dog from some strong breeds, even the German Shepherd, people are used to believe that German Shepherd is very quiet and polite and good for training dogs. Yes, it is. German Shepherd is one of the most sustainable trainings, the best for the trainings, different type of trainings. But it also has its character, and it can be dangerous for people, for children mostly, for example. And you have to just understand a few basic things. So first of all, for your dog, if you are a part of the pack, and you have to be number one, you have to be alpha. Mm-hmm. So if you are an alpha, the dog will submissive is not the right word, but it will follow you. Mm-hmm. And it is one of the dog's basic instincts. So dogs are always following the leader of the pack, and that is also the scheme we are using in the dog trainings, in all of them, absolutely all of them. That's why for dog trainings, mostly we use at the beginning, at least, we use the number one person of a dog, like the owner. You can live together with somebody, but dog has only one leader always. But also you have to remember that dog supposed to be in your family hierarchy, in the ladder. It's supposed to be below all the human beings. So everybody, that doesn't mean that you supposed to suppress dogs somehow in any way. No, that only means that you should teach your dog to listen to all of the family members, to respect them all. So how it's can be in practice. For example, if you have a problem and your dog is being really arrogant, doesn't listen to you, and shows some signs of aggression towards you, that means that it tries to dominate you. And it is perfectly normal, actually, for the dogs, because in the animals world, that is all about domination. They are dominating towards each other, towards humans, and so on. But if you are acting correctly in the very beginning, well, dog is still a puppy, you can avoid that. So your dog will never dominate you. And that doesn't mean that you have to separate the dog or submit it to yourself. It comes through the proper training. So what else can I add to this? Maybe you can guide me.
What are these basic, maybe basic things from this training which you're supposed to do when the dog is a puppy to show that you're an alpha?
Well, when dog is still a puppy, you don't have to even show that you are an alpha, because he's so small and you are so big, you are always an alpha. So yeah, it's basically like this. What you have to do at the beginning, when you just got the puppy and he's like with you just the first moments, for first days, it will be really nice of you if you will just hold yourself to the dog's level. So I mean that, for example, if you are...
Yep, continue.
Yep. So, for example, if you are going to sleep, you can go to sleep with the dog. It will be a great way to get this first good connection to become a part of the pack for the dog, because you already have a pack. Even if you are living alone, if you're taking the puppy, it's like you are taking a puppy into your pack. So if you will go to sleep on the floor, for example, with him, either take him to bed. It's up to you, but I don't recommend to take it to bed if you don't want it to stay like this.
Yeah,
for
forever,
him to sleep with you all the time. Yeah, exactly. So if you are going to the floor, sleeping with him, it will build a strong connection. Because basically most of the times puppy is being taken out of his mother in the very 2 months or 1.5 months even, and it is really too early for the normal evolution of the puppy. And at the first month, you can play some not exactly his mother, but something alike.
Kind of, yeah.
And yeah. So in first month, the puppy will have to just So you remember that you are quite a giant for him, like a very, very big creature. And to adapt with this difference in height and in sizes, dog will have to study your body. Like it's supposed to be normal for him to pass over you and just be on top of you and so on. While he's a puppy, still it will not affect his domination. It will not be dominating. To dominate, they are starting to dominate when they are like over 6, 7 months. That is the most hardest time for the owners, actually. But for the first month, you like just be in a happy family and making all the good stuff with the dog, so it will learn to trust you and to follow you everywhere. The more time you spend with the dog at that time is the best for the future result. And of course, right away he comes to your house, comes to your family. You start with the training right away. So basically, every time you are feeding the puppy, every time it will be really good for him, for your connection, for everything, for you to give him food against something. So he has to do something to get the food. It will hold a good, it will build for the future. Because if you just putting the food into bowl and leaving it somewhere, and dog goes and eat it, it will just it is just not the best way for the training, because it will not study. He will not study. And the basics which you are starting from is like simple commands like sit and lie. That's basically two first things that you have to teach him. Those are quite easy ones. You can use your hands to signs and body language for this. And if at this moment you already see how good your dog is, his potential, because if he's studying really quick and he making remembers it for the after second, third time, that it is very good dog, and he is quite swift in his mind. If he needs some additional attention, let's say it. You just have to start with some additional trainings and think about what you are doing wrong, because basically most of the dogs are doing just fine on this stage. So I don't know, maybe you'll point me towards direction.
Okay,
because
yeah,
I can just continue and so on.
you already answered almost to my questions, I guess. But there was also this question about domination and how exactly you can understand that the dog is dominating you.
Basically, you understand it from the everyday, all that you do together. Because, for example, if your dog is always picks the decision by itself, that means that you, at least, maybe it is not dominating you, but you are not dominating either. So you are not the boss. And that is the wrong way, because if you are living with the dog in the city, you have to, there is no other option, you have to be the leader. If you are living in the village somewhere and dog is just playing outside all the time, so it is basically the wild animal. So
okay.
So other types with the puppy, it's basically all this is the case, because if he is just picking something to do by himself, that means that and doesn't listen to you. That means he is dominating. The second sign, obvious sign, is if you are dislining him from doing something and he still does. That is the second side. Because first thing you do when he is learned those first basics, lie and sit, first thing you do after that is putting the borders. Because for your dog and for your puppy, for your pack, is always good that everybody knows his place. And for this, you have to make some restrictions for the puppy, because there is always something that he cannot do. And if he cannot do this, you have to make your point. For example, the puppy likes to chew something, like your shoes or anything. You have to, couch, yes. You have to show him that it is not appropriate. There are different types, different ways to do this, but basically all of them are about наказание.
Punishment.
Yeah, about punishment. That doesn't have to be physical punishment, but it is still a punishment, like in like as a term. So this way you are putting some borders on. Later on, there will be a lot of different borders. Like, for example, if you are on the street and cars are moving, so there are supposed to be restrictions about going on the road, and dog has to understand that. And he's supposed to react on your voice, on your basic commands, like stay, stop, or something like this. There is also those borders. And if you are lacking putting the borders at the beginning, in future the problem will escalate. So he will like listen to you less and less.
Maybe you can also tell how to make him listen to me, how to build this connection.
So if you are already having a good connection with your dog, he loves you. He makes some fun stuff with you. He's happy to play with you. So the second part is to find the reason to punish him. Basically, it is like this, because the puppies always do some crazy stuff that you can punish them about. So you just wait until he does this, and you just make a punishment. And after that, third like command or order for the dog will be stop or hey, no, like no. And that will be basically the way to establish those borders, restrictions all the time, like yes and no, positive and negative. How to punish the dog? It can be, well, I can go either a scientific way, so I can explain about the science and terminology, or I can like make example, for example. No.
Let's go with example, I think.
Okay, I will try and combine those.
Go both.
So, yeah. So there are two types of positive enforcement of the dog and two types of negative enforcement. So one of the positive ones is when you are giving your dog something good because of he done something good. That is positive enforcement. I can mix up the terminology, so that will be one way. Second way, like you can positively make a positive statement for your dog, is when he does something bad and you just don't give him something good. So he stays away from what he's supposed to have. So that is the second way. Third way, you just punish him physically or in some other way, but he is only understands the punishment. So there is no other way. And the fourth one is like what I already told.
Two positive, one negative, and one more negative, right?
Yeah, actually, the second one was the second negative, but it's becoming complicated. But the first one, so you are just endorsing positively.
Second one, when you're not awarding when he did something bad. Third one, it's physical punishment.
And the fourth one is okay. Let me think a bit. I lost.
Okay. But which works better? I think it's like depends on the dog, right?
It even depends of the situation, because someday, you know, the positive enforcement award works always, mostly until the moment when dog is already had it enough. So the positive motivation doesn't work anymore, because dog for example, you are motivating the dog with some sausage or anything, and he just has his stomach full and doesn't want any sausage anymore. So that doesn't work anymore. So then you go to other stuff. But if you are the hardest one, it works perfectly. But the hardest one is to explain the dog that he is left without something, without award for accomplishing something bad. That is the hardest way and the more complicated for the dog in practice, just from experience. So the most of the people at the first year of their dog handling and living with the dog using basically two of them, the award and the punishment, and doesn't go deeper, and that is perfectly okay actually. But if you are making some progress towards like sports or you want to do some not different complicated stuff, then you later will have to adopt all of them, all the theory.
Okay. If we, for example, will go back with the puppy theme, that you said that, for example, how to like make borders that, for example, puppy cannot eat something or chew something. But for example, if I'm working 8 hours out of home and I come back and then my sofa is destroyed because he was here at home alone, apparently bored or something. And of course he ate it. And how can I improve this situation? How can I stop him or border it? Because as I understand, there is like no reason to punish him because he will not understand why, right?
That is not a reason to punish him like physically or in some straight way. But that is exactly the case for the other options. Because if you, for example, came home from work, yes, we actually, can you hold this question for the later? Because before that, we have to talk about dog's memory a little bit.
Sure, let's talk about dog's memory then.
Yep, that's actually important to explain this, because dogs, like humans, have three types of the memory at least, like scientifically, the short one, the long one, and the medium one, and they are acting accordingly. But the dogs, basically, they also have all of them, but mostly working are two, short and long one. So the dog can remember like huge, something huge, like the really bad punishment after he got for making something really bad for a long time. He can like remember it forever. And same for the positive. And for the small stuff, he like, okay, I done something, I got a little bit punished, and I forgot it about like in 15 seconds. So and this getting from short memory to the long one, it like takes a lot time. So that's why. So that is basically the problem in your case, because if you left dog and you left for work, dog exactly remembers, can definitely it was chewing something while you were still at home, and he got punished for this. Definitely there were some cases like this, but he doesn't remember in the long term about it. So if you are in place and he sees you, he thinks that, okay, I can't chew anymore, and he doesn't chew. But you go out and he starts to chew again because you are not there, so you can't punish him. But how to act? For example, you came home, you saw that he already chewed your chair or anything, and you can react on it like you are not happy about it at all, and you can leave him without a meal, for example.
Okay.
Or you can take something like he has a toy, for example, maybe he playing at home. You just take this toy away, or taking something else away what he is using in the time you are at home.
Okay.
And the second option, so he will not understand this from the first time. It's like working in the long term. But in the end of all, at some point of time, this association will come up in his head. Second option, no, I don't know about if I have to mention it, but if you will punish him properly, like hard punishment for the really bad stuff, he has to let it go. So mostly, but if the man is not very experienced, it may not come out. So second option you can do is like if he is doing this all the time, like every time you are going out, he's chewing. You come back, if this one, that's only one reason to go, one way to go, like I explained. If sometimes he does and sometimes he doesn't, then you just cheering him up when he doesn't. So you give him an award for that. So you came home, you see that it is proper, and okay, you are happy to see him. You like express your happiness about it. When you come and he is chewing, you like express your negativity about it. So it's basically all the same reason. But I can also give a little hint for what to do if he does this. If you have still a puppy, that mostly doesn't work with the grown-up dogs. But with the puppy, it works perfectly. So if he shows first signs of chewing something and doing something like this, you just take a lot of stuff he would like to chew and like bringing it all everywhere, and you just follow him on the very first steps. And if he starts to chew, you react all the time. And quite soon, if he is still a puppy, quite soon he will just leave it. It's quite easy for him. So because dog actually doesn't want to make you disappoint you. He wants you to be happy because you are a leader of the pack. And if he still continues to disappoint him, it can also be the reason can also be in his health. For example, something with his teeth. He has to chew, for example. Then you just have to make an exchange for him not to chew the wrong stuff and to chew the right one. And if you are given this substitution for him, you are awarding him for doing that, because this is good. And like this is bad, you punish. This is good, you cheer him up. So that is quite as simple as that. And also for the grown-ups, also it can be a sign of some proper disorder in his health. So for like example, his kidneys are bad, he can piss and good, and so he starts to piss everywhere, for example. You don't have to be angry at him, you just have to go to veterinary clinic.
Okay.
In this case, yeah.
Okay, I got it. Okay, we talked about puppies. Now let's talk about teaching grown-up and old dogs behaving good. This was the question in our chat. If you can teach old dog to behave good.
Well, not all dogs. Not all dogs, I guess, because some dogs are just no, you just let him live because he's too old and too bad, and for him it will be too hard. But mostly, yes, it is possible to correct the behavior of every dog, but it only depends on the measures you are able to take. So there are a lot of different ways and a lot of different tools for correction, starting from the different types of collars and for example, the hardest one, but also quite effective, is the electric collar on the pult. Yes, it is not killing anybody. I used it on myself. It's quite okay. The point is that the dog doesn't get hit by electricity hard, but the point is that it gets this little shock at the right moment. So if it happens, and that basically about all the the hard collars with the spikes, works the same way. Like all reason is the same. But if you just that was the good tools and good ways to do if the dog is really bad, aggressive, and so on. So there is some kind of behavior you have to correct in any case. Then you can go with those ones. But if that is just a small dog, for example, or not dangerous for for everybody around. In this way, you don't go with those measures, of course. There is plenty of ways to teach him, but it takes some passion and a little bit, not a little bit, but actually can be a lot of work also. And the main thing that you have to be like, how it's called, sustainable, like do all the time the same way.
Yeah.
Because yeah. And first thing that you have to diagnose your dog. So if you are living with the dog and he is already grown up, you have to first thing that you have to pick that just what is happening, why he is not listening to me. Either it is happening because of I'm not a leader for him. That is most of the cases. Because if you are not a leader, you also don't have the control over your dog and you don't have a contact with him. Because if you are not a leader, dog is dominant, and then you are nobody almost. You are a person who brings food, so like a kelner. No, basically it's true. Yeah, if you are established leader, you like have a strong claim on leadership at least, then and you don't have a conflict with your dog. Like the conflict, I mean that you are teaching him and he is not just not accepting your teachings. That means that you have a conflict. Because maybe from other person he does the same thing, your dog will act okay, like the way he's supposed to be, and with you he does the opposite way. That means that you have huge conflict.
But why can it be like the dog doesn't like me, or what are possible reasons? I just like conflict.
No, it's basically the same like you having the conflict with anybody, because you done to him something bad and he doesn't understand the reason, for example. Because if dog understand the reason of the punishment, he will not have a conflict with you, because it is simple for him. Okay, I got this behavior from my owner because I did that, so I don't want him to act like this. I will not do this anymore. That is as simple as that. And if he is having a conflict, that means that someday you just made something really wrong, like a big mistake, or maybe he doesn't feel that you are like a proper leader, so he doesn't feel safe around you. That can also be a reason for the conflict, because if he doesn't believe you, doesn't trust you, he will not follow you and he will not actually listen to you. So the same reason. In all of these cases, there is plenty of different ways to do the socialization and do the basic training. It's totally okay if you are having a good big dog and you are starting again from the very beginnings of the trainings. It is perfectly okay, because if you made something wrong, that is the only way to go.
Yeah.
Start from the beginning when he was good. So.
Okay. There was also a question, in what age better to start teach dog?
Like I already said, that some things you are already starting from the very first days, like the basic things. If the question was about how, at which age I have to do the proper training with the dog handler or something, then it will be, no, actually the earlier you start, the better result will be, because you will not, if you are an unexperienced person, you don't know how to be around dogs. That means that if you start early, you will not make those fuck ups, those mistakes, which will like be a problem later. But if you are already have some experience and you are sure that with the basic training you are doing okay and fine and you don't need help from outside, this way that like a half a year, that will be the proper time for starting the trainings. And there is also like different types of the trainings. You can like just visit some dog school or puppy school or something, or you can just hire some kinologist or dog handler who will take the dog to his place and will teach it for a month, for example, or a few weeks, or so.
But is it good? I was always like wondering to give out the dog for some school, for some teaching, but does it work really? Because like in my head, like you're the owner, so you're supposed to teach it. So you have a contact, not the dog with some other person.
I explained the difference. Both ways will work in proper conditions. For example, it always for me, in my opinion, what I am like making a propaganda of, that every owner has to follow this way from the very beginning by himself, because there is actually a lot of stuff that you have to know about dogs. And the only way to get this knowledge is actually from the practicing, from the communicating with your dog and teaching him. So in time you are teaching your dog, you are also studying yourself. That's quite important. But if you already have a lot of enough of knowledge, if you know about the dogs enough to not, so you know, are not don't have to go through this basic steps. You can also use the kinologist or the dog handler to teach your dog. So, for example, I can make an example of the police dogs. In my practice, we all teach our dogs from the very beginning. But for example, in Russia, where is also quite a great kinologist school and all the service, they are doing the old way. They are taking the dogs while they already went through these basic trainings, when they are like at least 16 months old, and they are not just no, after that they are just already working with aggression and with work stuff. So they don't do these basic trainings at all. Like they get the proper educated dog who is able to learn, who is, because the first thing a dog has to learn is the learning itself. That is the hardest and the most important part. And after that, so it is always depends on different conditions, because some people are just don't have enough time, because teaching a puppy takes a lot of time, really a lot, for no, like for 2-3 hours most of the cases at a day. Then the result will be proper. I will guarantee this, because you have to walk a lot with it. Puppy maybe less, but the grown-up dog have to go through. If it is a big dog, he have to go through the 10 kilometers per day minimum. There is minimum for the good health. Like I mean the good big dogs like German Shepherd, for example, the classical one. They have to go this distance every day, so they have good health, and the skeletons. Also, one important thing for the good dog health, from the 6 months and 1.5 year, there is basically the time when all the dog constitution and health is getting in place. So what you do at this time, this year, is you are building for the future. So if you will be lazy at this time, then prepare to not be lazy later, because your dog will cause you problems. Either it will be behavioral problems because you didn't teach him enough, or it will be physical problems because you just didn't walk enough with him. So he has like problems with legs, with skeleton, with spine, and there can be plenty of problems. Doesn't have to be, but can be. It also depends a lot of genetics, of course.
That explains a lot.
Yeah,
I think I know my mistakes now.
well,
Okay.
your dog is from the shelter, so yeah, I think that there is no, like I know Tommy a little bit, and I can assume that there was some problem with his being taken away from the mother, or maybe he didn't even had a mother. So
Yeah, he was very, very small when I took him. He was just like month and a half old. So
that is
very,
very, very early. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. If we started to talk about shelter dogs, I had a question about the difference in the approach for example, dog breeds. There are like different breeds, a lot of them, small dogs, these Chihuahuas, these German Shepherds and stuff. It's known that some dogs are like more easily to teach, to train. But for example, is there some, I don't know, life hacks or different types of approaches to like different breeds? And if you have to like behave in a certain way or do somewhere like less or more to some kind of different types of dogs, or like shelter dogs as well and stuff?
Well, okay. Remember the shelter dogs, it will be a little bit of standalone theme, because
Okay.
about the different breeds of the dogs, yes, for sure there are different approaches and different hints in every breed. Like from the classics, German Shepherd, that is quite no, type of the dog you can let yourself make some mistakes, because it has such a strong and good psychics that he will allow you to correct them easily. But for example, there are some breeds, Jack Russell, for example, quite a
Yeah.
small dog, people think, but actually he has the same mentality like the grown-up big police dogs. I mean the Belgian Shepherd and so on, because it is very active breed. He has the same way like a big dog. He has to pass 10 kilometers per day if you want him to be calm at home. If he will not be doing this physical, he will do physical at home on your nerves. Yeah, that's, for example, one type of approach. And if you are, for example, this kind of breeds who are very agile, very active, they are studying very good from the game, like your dogs, for example. He is from constitution and from his behavior, he is very active, so agile. He's like jumping from the place like quite high and so on. That is a good sign of that he will be learning good from the game. Not doesn't have to, because every dog is a person, like almost a person. Yeah. But also you don't dog handler can't allow himself to go into those stereotypes too deep, because just because of that individual stuff. Because beside the genetics, dogs also have psychics, and that's like affecting them on the individual level. So I definitely, if I know that, for example, my next student will be with for example, a husky, I will assume some stuff, but first of all, I will just evaluate this dog. I will see if it really like this, because there is a lot of place for surprises. For example, husky also, it is a kind of dog which will punish you a lot if you will not be active with him, because that is the dog which will make a lot of noise when you are away from home and he didn't get his morning walk for 5-10 kilometers, and he can like annoy your neighbors a lot, and he can also make a disaster at your home while you're absent. No, well, there is every breed that you can comment on them like some specific points, but yeah, it's. And for the shelter dogs, it well, the first thing, first of all, that with shelter dogs you always have to reserve a little bit more patience, because you have to be really patient, because shelter dog, what it means, they can be also with the good genetics. They can be like the métis from two good breeded dogs, and their genetics will be fine. But the case that it came from the shelter means that he has some baggage, like a person. He has some experience. He has some already had some situations which evaluated to him being into the shelter, like people just left him, and this really affects a lot. all the dogs from the shelter, they are affected by this. That was actually the reason number one why people who know stuff about the dogs don't want to take the dogs from the shelter, because they don't know what they will get, and not everybody is responsible enough to take the dog and just go through all the needed stuff to make him like enjoy the life. Well,
Yeah, this is the thing I hear a lot when like people are talking about shelter dogs and like choosing if they want a dog and choosing whether to take a dog from the shelter or some breed, that it has some baggage and they're afraid to deal with it.
exactly. Well, that's a good point. They are afraid to deal with it because take the breeder dog. It is like much easier way. It has still can be some problems, always can, but the percentage, the opportunity of it is quite much smaller. But when you are taking the dog from the shelter, there are also some pluses. Can be not exactly pluses, but it's can be just taken as a positive. For example, dogs from the shelter are much more ready to be independent, more independent. In not in a bad way. I mean that not go against you, but if they are already taken you as a leader, they still can be a lot more independent because they have this past first month, for example. If it was a puppy, then they were by themselves. So it is makes the different psychology, and there they are also easier to establish yourself as a leader for the owner, because like as I already told, for dog it's the pack is the most important thing. It is even more important than their own life sometimes. And if a dog was left out of the pack, that means that he is dropped in the hierarchy and he is just like on the lowest place. That is easier for the, like, for example, for the like small lady to take the dog from the shelter, because it will be easier for her to establish your leadership, because this dog will not dominate. Opposite, it will be needed a lot of patience to to make him like just grab a little bit higher in this hierarchy.
Okay. Yeah, very interesting actually. We had you mentioned this Jack Russell breed,
Yep.
and I talked today with a colleague exactly about this lecture tonight, and she also has a Jack Russell, and she was saying it's 1 year old, and she was saying that right now her biggest problem is that he's very stubborn. And for example, if he doesn't get something, what he wants, that he will kind of do something on purpose to revenge.
That means that he is not a stubborn, but is baloney.
Spoiled.
Spoiled.
Yeah.
No, yeah, spoiled kind of, because that only means that he gets always gets what he wants, and he doesn't have borders. That is what I was talking about. Because if the dog making revenge, that means that he either doesn't accept you as a leader properly. Maybe yes, in some kind he follows you, but still he has reserved some options for himself to choose. Either he follows you or not, and that's first of all. And yeah, that means only that this person wasn't sustainable enough in trainings, so she wasn't demanding the same behavior she needed. She was letting him act by himself, pick a decision.
I hope
So
she
she
will
just have to be
watch it
more
later.
strict.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, another question I had is maybe you can tell us how to play with your dog in a correct way. Because I know that,
Ooh,
for example, with
yeah,
my
yeah.
dog, it's like he wants us to chase him and he's not giving a toy to play.
That is actually because of his place in the hierarchy, because he knows that he is on the lower level than you,
Yeah.
and for him it's hard to. He's a grown-up dog already, and for him it is hard to understand that he actually can follow you and catch you because you are in higher place. And this is like nonsense a little bit, but you can go over it, but it will take time and a lot of work. Sorry, what was the question? I just.
What are some like life hacks how to play with the dog in the correct
Okay,
way?
yeah.
Like some mistakes or.
So it will be much easier to show than to explain, but I will try. First of all, that the toy you are playing it with the dog, it has to be like accessible to him only when you are playing. So if you want the dog to play with you, he only has to get those toys only when you are playing together, only then. So it just can't be like you are going home and he's bringing him a toy and he's playing by himself at home. If you do this, the ценность, value of this value of this toy will just go lower. So the toy has to be valuable for the dog. He wants to he has to want it to demand it from you. That's the first thing. I would not recommend playing with the balls. If you are trying to teach your dog, the ball will not be a best solution. To teach him, it will be better something that he can catch and hold and like put his teeth into it. So something soft, not exactly soft, but not like from rubber or something like this, or plastics. Something from softer material. And what else? The toy for the dog, when you are playing with him, the toy for the dog is like a rabbit for the wolf. He is chasing it and he wants to catch it and wants to kill it. So try to play the way so the toy is in your hands. You're not throwing it all the time. You can throw it to give him like award. Then you throw it. While you are playing, it is in your hands, and dog is chasing it. You like let the dog pass by you. You not like toy in one hand, dog is like other hand, so it is chasing it, and like you don't let him catch it right away. You just know the point of play that he have to make some to put himself out. So he's chasing one time, he missed. Second time he missed. On the third one, you're giving it to him, so he will catch it. He will try play with it. Don't let go. Play with it like just push and pull for some time. And here we come to very important moment. So if your dog is a little bit of a pussy, or like some he is afraid of you, a little bit coward, yes, like, or just weaker than you, and some problems with self-esteem. Dogs also have kind of self-esteem. So you let him go. He lives with the toy in his teeth. After that, he will either you switch that you have there have to be another same valuable toy, so you can switch it and to get it back, or you can just wait until he will drop it, because dog will drop it, because the rabbit is interested for the wolf only until it is alive. After it's dead, he just spits and either eat it or just leave it. Same for the dog. Until the toy is active, until he can pull it, until he can play with you. It is interesting. After you dropped it, it is not any more interesting. He can just play with it for a little bit longer, but he will still spit it. So no, in two words, that is basically it. Because yeah.
So he is not supposed to have toys unless I'm giving them?
No, that's for sure. He has not supposed to have anything until you give it to him. But yeah, at home he has to. He can have a toy, but different one.
Yeah.
Like totally different
Like
one, which is yes, like the one which is impossible to play with somebody. You understand that he can chew it or do anything he wants, but and I also would avoid toys which are making noises. You know, those like that is especially with the big dogs, with the big and dogs who are who can be aggressive, because that is like killing. The toy make a noise and like the last noise of the animal. It can not always, of course, but it can make an association that he really killed it, and he just will build all the time you are playing with such a toy. He will build his self-esteem, and at the end of all, he will try to dominate. So, yeah.
Okay. I hope not to try to eat some other dog or something.
That's exactly the point, actually. Yes, because he is playing mostly with other animals or you. So with you, it is very rare that dogs, properly trained dog attacks a person because of that, but he can attack other dog if you are letting him to play with them. So if he is, and especially if you are like going for a walk into the forest and he got at some day, if there is a hunting dog or some other breed like this, and he can just bring you a rabbit from the forest at some day. It is possible, totally possible. And if he did that, this toy stuff will also affect it, grow it stronger, because it will be more dominant, and at some point he will just take all the other animal beings like cats and dogs as the rabbit, and he will try to kill them. But that is a really, really rare case that you can just, people are just correcting this behavior far before it happens. But still, it is the same process.
Okay. Okay, let's continue with the questions that we had from our colleagues. There was a question, can dogs be sad, and how to understand that?
Well, maybe not in the way we are being sad, but dogs can be sad in some kind. I will not speculate on this sadness, what it is consisting of, but they have, in some cases, like a bad mood. It can depend of your behavior, your like owner's behavior. So if you just punish dog in a bad way, like didn't understand, so the conflict is growing. That is one of the cases. Or for example, he doesn't get enough of your attention. That is also one of the reasons for dog to be sad and even fall to depression. Which is, but no, I don't say that dogs have depressions. It's a little bit too much, but yeah, but yeah, and actually, yeah, the dog's psychics is pretty much close to the humans ones, but it is just much more simple. And some kinologists and zoologists even say that dog is proper 3 years old human being, like intellectually.
I heard
like
that.
I heard that. Yeah, on the same level as a 3 years old kid. That's the reason actually why 3 years old kids and dogs are getting really good along with each other.
I once also walked with my dog and my friend who had exactly like 3-year-old cat, and we were saying almost the same phrases like stop, don't, come here. And yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Because a child in this age is just on the same level. Like when he is already 5, 6 years old, he is making up much more complicated algorithms in his head. Dog is will not get on this level. Dog is much simpler, but still, the motivation and the quite the same.
Okay.
So the dog, same as a human dog, will also want to be happy, first of all.
Of course. Okay, there was another question which seemed funny for me, but I will ask it anyways. My dog is aggressive to her tail. She runs after it, tries to catch it, and aggressively barks on it. How to teach her not to do it?
Well, this is a hard one, actually.
But I think it's like a pup, I think. No, it's quite regular.
It can be, but it's not good. It's not actually good. Well, like teaching out of it is basically the same like teaching out of anything. But you have to first of all you have to find out the reason, because maybe it is some disease. It's actually also possible. The dog catching his own tails, it's actually it's most of the cases it's okay. So, but if it is like always all the time, that's like a strong sign of some problem. It's either physical or mental. I will not speculate on what it can be, but yeah, you have to. Maybe if you see this a lot from your dog, you just have to follow and to see after him what he's doing, and maybe there is some other problems.
Okay. There was another question, more like about people. What is the best way how to deal with the fear of dogs if you're a person and you're afraid of dogs?
Well, the best way is to communicate with the dogs. you will
It's
not
always
get over
like that,
your
yeah.
fear.
If you're afraid of something, just like go for it.
Let's go. Yeah, but actually, you can always ask some help from some kinologist to him just to explain a little bit more about the dog, about their behavior, just for you to be easier to overcome your fear. Because no, everybody needs help with if they have some kind of panic fears like this. There is also some kind of therapy available. Therapy dogs, they're mostly working with the children, but it will be also the good case to find this kind of dog and therapist to just try these first steps of socialization, because that is basically a socialization. So you are afraid of dog because you have some like subconscious fear of them from your past, from your childhood mostly. And then to overcome this, you just have to make those small steps to overcome. And to the dog therapist, you can also ask for help any available kinologist or dog handler. I've been doing this, like for some cases. Yes, I had some friends and girlfriends who were afraid of dogs, and I was teaching them not to be with my police dogs, who actually biting people, but they made it. And that was a good result for them.
Strong training.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another question. It's more like, I think, wide one. What are the biggest stereotypes about the dogs and like their behavior?
Well, no, like first one is the same, that we are trying to conversate with the dogs like there will be humans, because most of the people think that if they are spelling a lot of words toward their dogs, that dogs understand them, but actually not. Dogs actually read your body language mostly and your tone of your voice, and not your words. From words, it only gets the commands you teach them, or some specific words you repeating a lot and just remembered it and build some kind of association of its own. So that is the strongest stereotype, I guess. The second stereotype is that the small dogs don't have to pass through the trainings, that you don't need to train the small dogs. Actually, that is also a stereotype and quite a bad one, because you see a lot of small dogs who are barking on the end of the leash.
Yeah, very aggressive ones. Yeah.
Yes, like when that is a third stereotype about those dogs being aggressive. We will talk about it later.
Okay.
Yeah, but there is a big stereotype, because small dogs even maybe have to need additional attention because of these third stereotypes. Actually, dogs are not aggressive by their nature. They have instincts. That's true. So hunter dogs and big breeds, they actually all of the dogs have this hunter instinct and other instincts, which make them seem to be aggressive, but that is not aggression. If the dog is aggressive, that means that these dogs have some mental disorder, because it doesn't have it and shouldn't be aggressive. And the second option, that this dog actually is not aggressive, but it seems aggressive for the person, because he doesn't understand actually what is leading this dog. That is also a good point for those people who are afraid of dogs. Guys, just don't worry, they are not aggressive. So why are they showing their aggression? Mostly because of they are afraid. The aggression, explicitly shown aggression means that dog is afraid. It can either be afraid of you or some other substances and circumstances around. It can be afraid of about the lack of connection and lack of contact with his owner, so he doesn't feel that the leader of the pack is supporting him. That is also quite often one of the reasons of this kind of behavior. And to work it through, to just calm those dogs, you have to overcome not the aggression but the fear. That is a very strong point. And maybe 20 years ago, even the kinologists didn't know a lot about this, because only the biggest professionals and very educated people of the kinologists. Because 20 years ago, all these kind of aggressive dogs were taught through the submission. So people were just submitting them, so they will be even more afraid. And the main result of this kind of trainings is that this dog who was aggressive and he was submissive, that most of the time he was calm and okay, but because of he was afraid almost all the time. And at some point he just bite some of the owner or child and so on. So if the dog bites somebody, that means that he had this kind of suppressed aggression inside, suppressed fear. And he evaluates it and shows this fear in aggression. He tries to scare you with this barking and showing he's trying to be big one, big person, big dog, big and scary. But actually he is afraid of you because you are big and scary. Or either very often that the owner of this dog is just doesn't support it, and he maybe even doesn't understand this. And that is often case with those small dogs. Almost all of them are just very, very afraid of everything, because the smaller the dog is, the bigger the outer world is. So the scarier it is. So if that is also the reason why those owners of the small dogs should go to training even more than the big ones. Their dogs are always constantly in fear. That is just awful if you think about it. So yeah, that's the point.
Okay. Any more stereotypes?
Well, I guess there can be a lot of them. What else? Okay, maybe that is not kind of sorry.
Food.
You said something?
Feeding the dog.
What do you mean?
I knew that, as I thought before, dogs supposed to eat I don't know, twice a day at least.
Yeah. That actually like if you will pick a nature, the closest animal to the dog in nature is wolf, mostly, not like wolf or wolf-like creatures, and they can eat even once per week, and it is also okay for them. And also, dog doesn't have to be fat, can't be fat. If he to stay healthy, you have to feel the ribs, but can't see them. So it's the perfect condition for the dog. If you like put a hand on his ribs and you feel those ribs, not the fat over those ribs,
Yeah.
but from the side you don't see the ribs. That is a perfect condition, and that means that it is just like exact the one. But in terms of feeding, you can feed like the best way is feed every time over 12 hours. Like it's the best way. It's used most of the dogs. But in some cases, in quite a lot of cases, it can the best way can also be one time per 24 hours. It is also like the conditional. And don't forget that it is totally normal not to feed dog before the training and day before the training. That is perfectly normal. That means that you are working with this motivation. You are just raising the importance of the food. So the more he wants to eat, the more he wants to work and to study. That is also totally okay. So don't feel like you are doing something bad to your dog if you are not feeding it. That's not true. You are doing good because you are raising it motivation to study.
Yeah, I should remind myself it quite often.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we also had some questions regarding like exactly your work. Did you work with aggressive dogs?
Yeah, it was my my number one specialization. I was my own dog was the like I don't remember how it's in English. No, собака задержания. I was working like supposed to catch
Stop.
people.
Yeah, catch
Yeah.
people stop. Mm-hmm.
So dog was like a gun, like all the other tools of the policeman, and it is like even juridically it is the same like pepper spray and how's it, dubina.
Big stick.
No, not the stick,
I
but
don't know.
yes, the one you are beating
Baseball
the
bat.
people.
Bat.
No, not bat, not baseball bat, but yes, juridically it's on the same level. Not the gun exactly, but one step lower. So it's juridically dog is a thing, not a being, not a creature. Yeah, but my main responsibilities were like I was a bodyguard first of all. Not no, in Estonia it's combined. My dog's first specialization was following people by their steps in woods. Like, for example, somebody will cross the border and leave on its way, and the border guard service only knows the place where he came on the shore or where he crossed the border. So I know exactly the approximate location of this scent, human scent. So I go to this first point, dog picking the smell, and follows me after this man. It can the older the scent is, the longer the more time passed after the moment man passed the place, the harder for dog it is to
find him. Yeah.
find it. Yeah, because scent is just going away. But I wasn't even the dog handler that way. I was on the mission in Bulgaria, Turkish border, and I was in pair with one local dog handler, who actually was the reason why I myself made this final step to become a dog handler. I followed him on the Bulgarian-Greek border, Bulgarian-Turkey border for 8 years without stops. On the scent, which was like almost 16 hours old. That is a very old scent, and 8 hours of work for dog, it always like picking the scent, like always smelling it. And it is very hard. And most of the dogs, like after 1-2 hours in such a condition, because there was 35 degrees and then sun was hitting and so on, very hard conditions for the dog. For most of the dogs, 1-2 hours it's maximum, but this dog just made it to 8 hours. And after we got this illegal migrant, he was much more exhausted than we were, and than the dog was. That was very impressive. Very top level dog.
Strong dog, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we had one more question in the chat just now. Why does other dog breeds doesn't get along with the French bulldogs? Most of the time, breeds' behavior becomes aggressive. Any clues?
Well, are you sure that it is only for the French bulldogs? Well, maybe for the French bulldogs it is like something in their appearance, because it's like very specific breed. Maybe, but I don't think that it is because of the breed. Most of the cases, other dogs are being aggressive just because of they smell something. Like remember that dogs are just taking all the other creatures by the hierarchy. Either they are on the top of it or below of it. So maybe this specific dog is just so like masculine, like strong. Other dogs are either afraid of them or trying to dominate them. Or maybe this dog, this French bulldog, acts like the way he is trying to dominate other dogs. Because if this is only about one specific dog, I would be 95% sure that it is about this dog, not the other dogs. The problem is in this specific dog. But yeah, maybe you can be more specific on this question, so then we can talk more.
It's your chance. While we're still in the chat. Okay, one more, I think maybe most probably the final question is what's most difficult in your job?
Most difficult is to be patient all the time, because you just like in most of the occupations you just can afford to stress out. If you stressing out with the dog, you are just ruining everything you was doing with him, with the dog for some time. So if you had just like a very good week teaching him to be in some specific stuff, and at some day he just has such a bad day that it is not just get along. So the best way is to let him be, just not touch him at that day. He has a bad day, he can have a vacation for this one. But sometimes all the dog handlers do this mistake, and they are just continue the exercises, and they are getting frustrated, and after that they will stress out. And sometimes it is really hard not to stress out on the dog, because yes, we can talk a lot about how good we understand those dogs and their behavior, but we are still humans and we make those mistakes, and yeah, it's kind of very bad to stress out. And the second for my specifics, working with aggressions, because when you are used that different dogs are biting you in the costume, of course, that is the most important is not to be afraid of the dogs. That is rule number one. If you feel that you are afraid of the dog, that you can work with it, you just can't. And because dog understand always when it is feared, and if the dog understand it and you still fear of it, then it will end badly. You will get bitten in the bad way. I can remind myself of the only case I was afraid of the dog, because one person called me and asked me to work with his dog, with her dog, and I didn't ask what breed is it.
Yeah.
And I came to her place and just walked out of the car and like saw her and didn't saw the dog, or I saw the small one, the second one. And I asked him like where your dog is, and she told no, she's right behind you. And I turned around and it was Alabai, and it was like almost my size and my weight. It was like 90 kilos and very huge one. And then my first reaction was fear. I was just really wow.
Yeah.
And it was funny actually because thanks God it was still quite a young dog and it wasn't teached to be aggressive, and so it ended positively, nothing. I didn't get bitten, so we played after that and do the training stuff and so on. But if it would be the properly trained dog, because this was in the village, and this dog later in few years it was killing the wolves there who was trespassing this area. Yes, not only one wolf but few of them like in a single fight. It is a really very 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 strong and monstrous dog, and very very powerful. And if it will be that time and I will come like this, it will be ended really bad for me.
Yeah, most probably problematic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone has any questions? If yes, then it's your chance to turn on the microphone or write in the chat. Any maybe specific questions about your dogs if you have dogs?
Yeah, shoot it. You can also share some experience of yourself.
Oh yeah.
Some interesting.
We're doing the trainings with my dog for a while already, like almost a month, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I actually see the progress a lot. The only thing is that I don't know why, but it feels for me that sometimes my dog is just like, yeah, really like not in the mood to do something. And like one day it can be a perfect contact, like he's listening, he's doing what I'm asking, and like a perfect dog. And like the next day he will be like just looking somewhere else. I can call him, I don't know, 5 times and he will be still looking somewhere else.
Well, it can happen. It is perfectly normal. First of all, that every dog is also like a human. He can have like a day when he doesn't want to do anything. That is possible.
Yeah.
If that can be all the time, or like few times on a week. No, only once maybe in the week. That's the first reason. The second one, it's maybe doesn't didn't get used to this stuff. So he's just not used to do all these trainings all the time. So he's just have to some time pass to adapt to this schedule. And how
I
to
also
avoid
thought
this?
that
Yeah.
I also thought that it might be because he's not castrated, and like there are a lot of dogs right now where we are walking which are on these like period stuff, and he just like goes crazy for the scent.
That's
and
for sure. That's for sure. Where you are, when you are in the city, living in the city, that is like one of the most
common
most of the
problems.
cases. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also a lot of not only the period menstruation scent, but also the others ones. So it can also be like other scents of any kind, of different all of the even the male dogs. It can distract them. To avoid it, trying to, when he is acting good, when he is being good, try to award him like much more. Like you came home after the good training, pass him all the goods, like food and so on.
Yeah,
all possible hours.
Yeah. Okay, there is another question in the chat. Would you prefer a dog that follows rules strictly, or a dog that is slack and does what it wants? Which one would be more happier?
It depends of the owner. If the owner is doing some stuff with this dog, like, for example, me. I hope that I can say that I had the most happiest dog when I ever met. My dog was, because we were always like in the woods. We were always done fun thing, because all the dog job for him, it was all fun, because one of the points of the training is to make it fun for the dog. If you do this, dog will study really quickly and be very good at this. And we just enjoy the time with each other. So I will prefer a dog who follows the rules strictly if I am putting the rules for them. But I would not prefer not to put too much rules for this dog, to leave him a little bit, not a little bit, but appropriate part of his freedom. So if it's possible.
Behaved but happy.
Yeah, exactly, like always.
I think this is how it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like all the humans also, the same way.
Yeah. Okay, hope we answered all the questions. One more chance to write something in the chat. Germans has a lot of questions today. Maybe you have some more. Do you prefer mixed feeding? I mean, using natural food like meat with dog food.
Yeah, that's a really good topic. And let's say that it depends of what you are doing with your dog. For example, for me, for my Polish dogs, it was almost impossible to make it natural, because we were always on the go, and I was supposed to feed him at any moment, to be available food. So I mostly feeded him with dry food, the very good one, but the dry food. But if you have enough of time and enough of possibilities to make a proper natural food, that will be definitely not for the bad, because but it is the person who asks this question is supposed to understand that it is quite like having a different child to all of them you have. Yes, because you have just picked the nutrition very carefully, so it will get all the needed minerals and so on. So it's not so easy. And for me, so I'm quite lazy in the part of cooking. So for me, it was always much easier to use the dry food. But I would not use the dry food if I knew one specific really good dry food for the dogs with digestive problems, and it is
can you
like
name it?
very healthy. It was Royal Canin, but I don't remember exact markers. Not all the Royal Canin are the same. That is one you can only buy from the specific stores. Vet store, exactly.
I also had it. It was very good, very expensive though.
Yeah, it's like three or four times more expensive than the original Royal Canin. No,
just for the dogs that have some problems with digestion, or it's like fine.
No, no, it's fine for all the dogs, but it is must have for the dog with digestive problems. I got this food. The government was buying it for me, so it was not a problem, the price. And I got this just because my dog just had the virus when he was a puppy, and I asked. They didn't want, but I asked my veterinary to prescribe it to me, to my dog. So I just always was feeding it, and it was also really good. Like from the part of dogs were happy to eat it. It was very tasty for them. So yeah.
True. I also had my dog had problems with the stomach, and they were also prescribed this particular one, this Royal Canin, for like this digestion, like better the digestion. And he's not a fan of dry food at all. He's like almost not eating it, but this one he was like eating all the time. If he had it, he would finish it completely.
Yeah, that's true. If you will see the what it is made of, it is also very very good one. Have all the needed supplements and minerals in it. I see the question any hints on the dry food.
Yeah.
I would prefer not to give exact hints. There are enough of proper and well-known producers of the dog food, and you will just pick it accordingly to your pocket and to the needs of your dog. And better to consult on this cases not with the dog handler but with the veterinary. That is their case, not mine.
But about this natural food, if we started talking about it, is it like a raw food that you give, or it's supposed to be cooked, or it's just like?
It depends. The main thing that they're supposed to be all the needed minerals.
Mm-hmm. You see the comment?
No, I don't want to give a hint, not because of this, but because of there is just a lot of plenty, and I didn't try it all of them. I only tried few, and after I got the possibility to feed this Royal Canin, this specific one, I wasn't looking for anything at all because it was like perfect one, but it is quite expensive, so. I'm not sure that I will can afford it, for example, now to feed it, because then those times government was buying it, and it was like cost like hundreds of euro for me every month. But yeah, so you can. At the beginning I tried also the Royal Canin, like for puppies. First few months. After that, I tried to go over for the natural nutrition, but for me it was hard because I was like, my regime was like 1 week at home, then 2 weeks at work, where it's not possible to cook as you can't make the dog meal on the kitchen where our cook is making dinner for everybody else. No, they didn't let me. And fourth week it was like always in the somewhere on the trainings and so on. So it was almost impossible for me to cook for the dog. So yeah, but I was doing the way after I was doing this scent trainings. After if the dog was doing like very proper one, showing a very good result, and at these cases he was getting like not the exact meat, but like the chicken hearts and livers and this kind of stuff. My dog liked it really much, so. And I was just like passing it through the hot water, and after that feeding it without any cooking.
Any more questions?
Me personally, first question, to change the food, try a different one, because dog have to eat it like he has to to enjoy it. And if nothing works, like maybe just not feed it all the time. And one more important thing, don't ever let the food be available for the dog all the time. Just if you are feeding 2 times per day, only put the food he eat. If he doesn't eat to them, don't leave in the bowl. Just go get it out.
Take it away.
Yeah, take it away. How many dogs? Well, I have the one not properly mine dog, like which one I was raising from the puppy to the grown-up dog. Only one, this service dog, and I had also 2 dogs which were living with me part of their lives, like I was training them, like the way I was explaining before, like people were just leaving it to me. I was training them, and it was like 3, yeah, two dogs properly and one not to the end. Let's say, but they were like for 2-3 months they were like my dogs.
Let's more questions.
And I also trained like dozens of dogs, like properly trained from the very beginning to the nicest results.
You can also say that you're now as well training dogs in Riga.
Yeah, I do that. So if you have any problems with your dog, contact me through Nastya. I can help.
I will give my contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think let's finish then if all the questions are answered, I hope. And that was very interesting. I found out a lot, although we like talked before as well, but like more deeper, information. This was very
1.5 hours.
yeah, very nice, very nice. Thank you very much for joining us, for agreeing for this lecture online.
Thank you.
But what can we do now? So yeah. Okay. Thank you very much one more time. Thank you everyone who joined us today as well. And have a nice evening, everybody.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.